a little bit, just a snippet, don't get nervous, of Emily Dickinson, who's got me through a lot of life. How many people love Emily Dickinson? How many people know about Emily Dickinson? How many people hate Emily Dickinson? It's okay. So the bravest broke a little and sometimes hit a tree directly in the forehead. But as they learn to see, either the darkness alters or something in the sight adjusts itself to midnight. And life steps almost straight. So that's kind of where I am in life right now. And I'm not a good golfer, so I'm not going to golf. But what I'd like to do today is talk a little bit about who I am, what keeps me going, and then, why am I sitting here at Atlas? And finally, I'm going to introduce the wild-eyed notion of vagalometry, which is an imagination, okay? So be clear, it's an imagination.
All right, hold on. I'm gonna try again. Somebody said the sound is not as good. Let me try.
Yeah. Maybe.
Let me try. Okay, is it better now? Kurt, say something.
Hello,
Yes,
better?
yes. All right,
Okay.
good.
Does this mean we have to do the Dickinson again? No. Sorry. So, anyway, let's start with kind of just a little over my career path and why I function and think the way that I do. So I had the opportunity in the mid 1980s, 1985 to be specifically. That's when Madonna just kind of was hitting it. Just to put that all into perspective, that's 40 years ago. How many people were born in 1985? How many people were alive? I love the energy. How many people were not born in 1985?
They're young people.
All right, isn't that just a crazy concept? But what was going on in 1985 is all of a sudden these things called massively parallel processors started to into form. Can anybody name who that is?
Marvin Minsky.
That's Marvin Minsky. Very good. And Marvin Minsky, he was at the MIT. I think he started maybe the Media Lab. And anyway, he had a young student, Danny Hillis, who created for his PhD project the connection machine. What was the connection machine? It was this massively set of parallel processors that all of a sudden had us thinking very differently about what computers could do.
Well, Danny and Mark were living together some time ago. I mean, a bunch of people living.
Oh, and a funny story is when Danny showed up and said, "Oh, okay, I got to go meet my PhD advisor." He goes to Marvin's house, knocks on the door. Marvin opens the door, he's in his underwear. So he was a wild guy, and I had the opportunity to work with him a little bit when I was working on my PhD, and then much more closely with who can name this person? It's a little hard. You'll know the name. That's Noam Chomsky. Okay, this is Noam Chomsky when he was into things like language theory, and he developed a field of language theory. And so in the mid 80s, when PhD students like myself were kind of just coming into all of this, and all of a sudden consciousness is opening up in a much bigger way because all of the stuff from the East had started to come in and everybody's thinking differently. LSD had done its thing. So everybody's kind of on this different planet of thinking. And here comes massively parallel processors. And here comes something called language theory. And Noam Chomsky really talked a lot about how we could start to represent as abstraction languages. Languages are really important because what that enables us to do as humans is abstract up and start thinking at a different level. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So it was a crazy time, and everybody was talking about hidden layers. And my PhD thesis was one of the very first generative AI algorithms, where I was working at Washington University at the medical school, and we had these electron micrographs of mitochondria. And we had to segment out the mitochondria. Well, you can't do that just looking at the pixels. we were lucky enough to have the first massively parallel computer from D.Sc, if anybody remembers the company D.Sc. So we were there one summer. I got to assembly language program this thing to try to process these medical images. But the thing is you can't process them unless you can abstract up. So what we did, and for my PhD thesis, we really started looking at what was known as a regular language. Can you represent that in a set of stochastic differential equations and then cast that onto a massively parallel processor and actually make the images understandable? And voila, we were able to do that. But through all of that, and what the field was, kind of going crazy about at the time was, oh my God, computers are going to be able to think. We actually thought that. And are they thinking now? Have we invented thinking machines?
They're repeating things.
Okay, now we're gonna vote. Look. How many people think, believe, let's call it a belief, let's get into faith, okay? How many people have faith that the generative AI computers that we're dealing with actually have some level of beingness or consciousness, or there's something living there within its thought constructs? Okay, 1, 2, 3. All right. So we have a few folks that, hey, there's something going on here, right? So back then, it was totally like, okay, there's something going on here. Patricia Church had her stuff on neurophilosophy, and everything was very exciting, very heady. So boom, there's pillar 1, cornerstone 1, okay, of who's curtain. Second thing is I'm an educator. So originally was an assistant professor in electrical engineering, this and that. But one thing that I did that I'm very proud of is I started the entrepreneurship program in engineering back in 2007. That's now one of the minors there. Yes, you can get a minor in entrepreneurship in the engineering school, which you're a part of. So it's something that in my mind, if an engineer who learns to really think, if they know the language of business, so all of a sudden you can have abstracted conversations that make sense with a marketing person, a salesperson, etc., then you become much more impactful in terms of what you can do out into the world when you're applying your engineering. That's what I found over the course of my career. And so I was like, you know what, I want to do this. So literally walked on campus, engineering management, went Barbara Lawton, hey, I want to start an engineering entrepreneurship program here. She says, oh my God, I was just thinking about that. So then worked a year pro bono, then the dean said yes, we put the program into place, and now it's one of the minors. And it's really a terrific program because it really helps engineers be able to communicate with those around them. Teamwork is everything. When you're trying to build something, you can't build anything on your own. You just can't. Anything that has significant impact in the world, right? So teamwork is essential. How do you do that? That's what that program's about. This is me teaching at over in Shanghai. Jiao Tong University and University of Michigan had this thing together, and so I'd go and I'd give it was a weekend-long entrepreneurship crash course for the Jiao Tong students, as well as some industry folks over there, where literally you came on Thursday night, you got a problem, and on Sunday morning, there was a pitch competition. So you had to work through everything. All it was coffee and pizza. Nobody slept. But on Sunday morning, we'd usually come out with some of these really fun ideas. So that's me giving the kickoff course, kickoff lecture at that course. So education is really important to me, okay? Oh, this is just a peek into what I am personally, and what I'll do, you can read stuff, but what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about my family. So Karen is my wife. She's my second wife and has been now for 17 years. We both live here in Boulder. She goes to Tucson in the winter, hates winters here. So that's what it is. She's an artist. She also suffers from an autoimmune disease, which, if anyone knows what that is, it's a really hard thing to deal with in reality, but we march through it together. And then I have twin girls, Gretchen and Heather. They are both 32 now. They're both social workers. and they're working in our community. They all live, I sent them to California for school so they could say, feel that, and then they came back and they're all living here now. We love California, really do. But I wanted them near me, so they're both social workers. Gretchen is addiction prevention in Broomfield County, and Heather works with the Denver School District with children that are having a really hard time in school because of what's going on at home, and she assigns the social services to them. My son Robbie is 29, he's getting married in, oh my God, just a few days. And he's a cabinet maker and a climber. He learned climbing from me. Back in the day, I was a big climber, and now he takes me up once in a while, but not much anymore because he's on Rocky Mountain Rescue now, and that takes all of his time. So very proud of him. He's a cabinet maker and a climber. And then my stepdaughter, Karen's daughter, Talia, she is a horse trainer. If anybody knows what dressage is, you know, it's like the ballet for horses. And anyway, she turned out to be very talented, and she decided that she wanted to live in Paris. So she's living in Paris and she's training horses in Paris. Which is kind of cool. So those are my kids. I have a lot of interests. 5 words that describe me: passionate, resilient, musical, loyal, half full. Okay. Yes.
What's half full? Sorry, I'm not.
Do you think it's half full or half empty?
That's it.
Right? Do you know that?
Yeah, I know the phrase. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just half full. Sometimes at 3:30 in the morning when I wake up and it's like, oh my God, I'm half empty, but I get it. So probably my biggest contribution has been at Medtronic. I worked there for over 30 years, in and out. They bought 2 of my first companies. I've done 20 ventures, and a lot of them were in the medtech area. A lot of them were for Medtronic. My first home run was called surgical navigation. So we essentially invented the field of surgical navigation. That is, where is your instrument in the operating room? And we were able to do that. Remember, PhD is like big computer, images, understand images. So we figured out how to take a big computer, a Silicon Graphics computer, if anybody knows that back in the day. We wheeled that into the operating room. And then with CT and MR images, within a millimeter, we were able to show first the neurosurgeon exactly where they were in the brain. Turns out that that's a handy thing to know. So that took off, then it was spine, and then ENT, and it progressed from there. That's what you're seeing on the upper left is the latest instantiation of the Stealth Station, which is the, you know, largest navigation system on the planet. And then on the lower right there, what you see is a project that I started in 2010. And that's the Hugo robot. So everybody's heard of Intuitive Surgical. Medtronic developed a robot. It's called Hugo. So that's on the bottom right there. So I worked diligently for them because they're just a great company, have a really good mission. I was able to know the founder of it. In fact, I'm a Bakken fellow. His name is Earl Bakken. And it's all about the mission of really being able to work with patients where they are, doctors where they are, and bring to them what they need. Enhanced reality, augmented reality, all these things that make the human and the machine work together to be extraordinary. That's the key interest, okay? Another thing that started up in 2010 here, does anybody, I mean, lung cancer is like, one of the worst. Why is it one of the worst? Because you don't know you have lung cancer until it's too late. Unless you're doing low-dose CT scans, which I do every year now just because I know about lung cancer. But if you discover lung cancer in stage 1, your probability of survival is really, really high. If you discover it in stage 3 or 4, probability is really low that you're going to survive. So we invented a device that would actually navigate down through the, so on the very tip there's a navigation. So again, within a millimeter, we can navigate down through the bronchi to the lung, go to where the tumor is, go to the tumor, biopsy it, take it, cast it. If in fact it's malignant, then we invented this really cool thing. It's a microwave ablation device that you could shape the ablation. Then you put that down in, go to the tumor, microwave ablate it, and boom, it's gone. We call it the home by noon strategy. If you come in, oh my God, do I have cancer? There's a no. And then we come and say, yes, you did have cancer, but it's over. You're home by noon. So that we kicked off in 2010, and it's now trying to get its way to market. Clinical trials on that is really hard because all the drug companies, no, right? So it's a tough one, but it's a very cool technology. Let's see, a bunch of patents, stuff like that. There was one that wasn't, and that's relevant to us because this is called Link. I don't know if you know what Link is, but it was invented in about 2003 by Medtronic, and it's insertable. So you can go to your doctor's office and just get it inserted. It's not an implantable, it's actually an insertable. So you can just walk in, insert it in and go. That's important because for cardiac patients where you really need to know, well, what's going on in this cardiac patient, all of a sudden you're getting it's basically like having an EKG full time, all the time. Okay. So Medtronic invented that. But the other thing that's very clear is that can be used for understanding, well, if we want to know how a human is performing in whatever venue that happens to be in, whether it's a football player or whether it's somebody that's, in an artistic process or in the flow, are you in the flow? If you have a string quartet and you're wanting to know, hey, is this string quartet in the flow right now? Well, guess what? The byline of this product is accuracy matters. Okay. So here you have a highly accurate way of knowing what your heartbeat's doing all the time. Heart rate variability, and we're going to play with that in a little bit here, is one of the key things that you need to know about being in the world. Does anybody know what heart rate variability is? You do, right? Can you tell us what it is? Are you comfortable telling us what it is? Or would you like to nod your head while I say what it is?
I like
You
to
said
nod
what-
my head when you
Okay.
Say what it is.
Go.
We all assume that the heart rate is consistent. But in reality, the beats, there's a difference in when the beats are, and the variability is in how much of the difference there is in time between beats.
That's exactly right. And what's really interesting about it is that your heart rate variability can use to measure whether you're in what's called the ventral vagal state. So are you calm? Do you feel safe? Do you feel safe?
I feel safe here.
You do? Good. So you're in the ventral vagal state right
So high variability.
now. Actually, what it means is you got a fairly nice constant sine wave. So your variability is like, oh, okay, you're boom, 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 boom. So your heart rate is tuned into your vagal nerve, which we're going to talk about, and it's saying, all right, things are cool. Things are really cool right now. So you feel safe. As a result, you feel comfortable to talk, probably. Ask a question. You probably feel comfortable to take in information and process it and allow your pyramidal cells to do like that, right? Because that's how you put more stuff in your brain. So you're safe and you're comfortable. What's really interesting though, is if in fact, what we now know is that you can actually put yourself into a ventral vagal state through a breathing exercise. And that's pretty cool. I'm really pissed off at Karen. So what do? Do I go in and like have at it? No. I realize that I have to get back to ventral vagal, because only then my teammate, okay, somebody on a project is like, why are you here late again? You show up late to every meeting. I have to do everything.
It's just scary.
You're there. So what's important about being in ventral vagal is because that's what opens you up to be a human. It's what allows you to interact, feel trust around it, have teamwork, right? Get things done in an extraordinary way with folks around you. What's hard though, and the reason one that wasn't, so this is the project I tried to kick off, along with all of these are with a bunch of people, by the way, okay? Everything is with a bunch of people. But this one wasn't. And we put a whole business plan together, pitched it multiple times to try to say, oh, for elite athlete performance or elite performance, Link could be really amazing. And I think there's a, right now, I think Carson and Grace, they have a project that they're doing along that lines, and it's interesting things, but what happens is all of a sudden cost matters. If you're gonna use an insertable to actually get really good accuracy about what's going on in all these different situations, right? It just costs a lot. So we're never able to win the return on investment argument of using this on elite performance, whether that's, hey, let's see how well you play the cello. Let's see how well you interact with teammates. Let's see how well you throw the football, whatever it is, right? So that's something as designers, creative thinkers and designers, something we always have to think about. And again, why entrepreneurship is so important, because, oh, this thing that I'm building right now, how does it actually go from, oh, that's a cool thing, to I've impacted hundreds of thousands of people with it? It all has to do with return on investment. That's why it's so important to be able to have some vocabulary around that kind of
So you
thing.
have to speak VC.
That's very good. You do. You have to speak VC, because who's got the money? Oh, right? So that's the one that wasn't. It's still in the waiting. As soon as we get the cost of goods of this thing down to a few $100s instead of $1,000, maybe it could have impact.
So what is the technology behind that? I'm assuming it's some sort of heart rate monitor that you put into the capsule.
It is. It's a sensor that's in the capsule, and then it goes in, and then it's sensitive enough that it actually feels the heart all the time. And the other thing that's really, really cool, and we were able to demonstrate this in the lab, is it also picks up EEG. So we can pick up heart rate and EEG through this device. For that, when you actually implant it back here, the point is all of a sudden you've got an EEG that's online all the time. And for those of that that played, so this right here, what you're seeing on the bottom right, that's an EEG device that's made by a company called Interaxon. This is their Muse device. It's just an EEG that goes across the forehead. And I was a very early advisor to them because of my Wild Divine experience. So this is, who's that on the upper left? Yeah, that's Deepak Chopra back in the day when, he was still like really into science and that sort of thing. Now he's kind of this brand and wellness and the whole thing. And, that's amazing. But back in the day, we actually worked very closely with Deepak because we had a heart rate variability monitor that we invented and created. And we used Deepak and some exercises, also Andy Weil and others, to figure out if indeed we could put something out there into the general public that could help them have stress reduction or help them get better at how they're functioning in the world. Okay, that was called Wild Divine. It's a bio-based interactive meditation or interactive stress reduction. One Christmas, it was actually the largest seller by shelf space at Whole Foods. So it went and it did really well. But then what we figured out is if you try to bump that from the early adopters into the bigger market, turns out that the bigger market, if you really look at them closely, they'd rather just be on their couch watching TV, eating potato chips. It's the reality of the situation, right?
That's how they
So,
regulate themselves.
what's that?
That's how they regulate themselves.
Yeah. You can't say it's wrong. So it's not like, why are you not buying your device? But you can't go there because they're doing what they need to do. Turns out that everybody does things in a different way. Right? How many people did push-ups today? Right? Good for you, but am I gonna really do a push-up? So it's the same thing. If you have to work to get somewhere, there's got to be a value proposition that makes sense for you. So we figured out indeed that you can't really go to the mass market with this kind of a product. So we ended up having to sell it, and it's still out there. You can buy this contraption. And then Muse, it's the same thing. Here's an EEG device trying to do the same thing. So it's really looking at how can you augment your own reality coming back to you, whether that's through audio or through visuals or whatever, in order to put yourself into a state where you're better, you're more impactful, you feel like, okay, I can go do this. It's just human performance enhancement. It's augmenting the space that you're functioning in, the beingness of here, with the computer somehow is doing that with you, right? So now you put Gen AI algorithms in that and you do all kinds of stuff. And all of a sudden you can start imagining with the Oculus headset and this and that and the other, you're dealing with a reality that's in real time, like changing how you feel, how you think, what's happening with you, right? So at that point, how different is your consciousness from the consciousness of the Gen AI thing that's feeding stuff to you? This one, right? Give it some thought. Or is it really different than what you are in terms of how your consciousness is being developed? Go on to Instagram and have fun for a while. And then ask yourself that question. Thanks for joining, you guys. We'll see you. So anyway, that was a lot of understanding around what you can do, what you can't do with machine augmentation. That got me into the whole thing of like Buddhist science and understanding that. And so I actually went and along with Karen, we got chaplaincy degrees down at Upaya Zen Center in Santa Fe. And my focus was on organizational development. Because what I was really interested in, how do you take a team, create a culture where you can perform the extraordinary? So I did a whole thesis around that, and then I started practicing that at Medtronic, and all of my teams thereafter at Medtronic, we would really use a lot of these approaches. It was never put into the couching of Buddhist science. It was always around taking the elements and casting them in a way that you could use them for your team. Anyway, I've developed a program, Cognitive Performance for Coaching Innovators.
So could you walk us through what that looks like?
Yes,
Yeah, so, like if you were gonna apply it to us or anything.
we're gonna do that in a second. We're gonna do it in a second, okay? Together. And I'm also, I studied music first, figured out, okay, this is gonna be a hard one, but I still have a studio. You see it there on the right. It was a functioning studio for 15 years. And, we made money, but then everybody had a studio in their bedroom that was better than, so anyway, now it's my office and my own private studio. On the bottom left there, that's us back in the day, the Wild Divine Band playing at the Boulder Theater. And then more recently kind of doing a thing. So I love music. I love the impact of what we can do with others. And, going to, I just saw the Dead & Co. out at Gateway Park for the 60th anniversary, right? And seeing like the crowd consciousness and what happens around that, like it's such a great example of ventral vagal and going to this different state where all of a sudden the collective consciousness is, doing something kind of wild and out of sight. So that's just a of who I am and why I think the way that I do. And a lot of it is around AI. What is AI, Gen AI? What impact does it have? And what does augmented reality really mean? What's the separation between me and the device and the machine, human-machine interaction? To me, that's what this institute is really all about. If we had, kind of look at it and I love radical creativity and invention. How many institutes in the world have that as their mission? Like, this is unique, what's happening here. So as students here, as staff here, it's a unique opportunity for us to say, wow, here's a major university that's created an institute to support radical creativity and invention. And it's for students, and why do I have you got a friend in me? Because it's like we're sort of those engineering misfits, if you will, that really want to create, really are on the edge of it. And I can tell you for a fact, after having worked with engineers for 40 years, building teams of this and that, oh my God, the value that you bring to the world, that we bring to the world as these radical thinkers, especially as Gen AI starts to do everything for us, we're going to be really, really important in terms of what we bring to the world. So I found myself just kind of traipsing around campus and I of course knew about the Atlas Institute from when I did the engineering entrepreneurship program. It's like, yeah, this feels, like a place where I could come in and hopefully have some impact. So that's why I'm here, to understand why I'm here. I don't know totally why I'm here yet, but I'm here. I keep showing up, right? All right, so what I want to do is this wild-eyed notion of vagalometry, and again, this is an imagination. What are we really talking about here? What we're talking about is the field of human-machine interactions that promote improved healthcare and wellness. Generally speaking, that's what my career has been about. Now, vagalometry, in my, imagination for all of it is, it's this field of study and development of the phenomenology of human-machine interaction. The phenomenology of human-machine interaction, studying that, understanding it, developing it with the express vision of enabling a neuroceptive-type relationship. So it's more than just it's more than just transaction. It's more than exchanging this. Oh, here's a set of words and this and that. It's feel, right? And using that in such a way that it supports wellness and sustainability for the individual, all right? Like this thing, all right, okay, help me feel better about myself, help me be a better person, help me be a better teammate. Can you do that for me? And for society. These times that we're now living through, when you're my age, let me see, that's gonna be, let's say that you're mid-20s, I'm mid-60s, that's 40 years from now. Oh my God, that's 2075. In 2075, what is the world going to look like? Right? That's the kind of thinking you need to have as students and operators in this whole creative technology, creative design, inventive thinking, being the misfits, and I mean that in a really good way, of how we're going to craft the reality that we have in the world, both for individuals and for society itself. Atlas is uniquely positioned to have impact on that. So what's vagalometry? Well, polyvagal theory, it was Stephen Porges developed this in the mid-90s, and he really did it from a psychology perspective, to help us as organic beings better understand how we function in the world and how to function more effectively, not a typo, in a world full of stimulus and others. This is one crazy nerve. That's one crazy nerve. That's the vagus nerve. And it runs throughout all of our bodies. It's why you're feeling what you're feeling right now. Why are you feeling safe?
Vagus nerve.
What? So neuroception is outside of our consciousness, kind of that subconscious, the unconscious layer. And basically what it's telling you is like, hey, should I be freaking out right now? What should I be doing right now? Well, the first thing that you do when you're 3,000 years ago is you run. You run. Right? And then you have that oh shit moment where it's like, I'm gonna get caught. What do you do then? Right? Fight and flight response. Everybody's heard of that. That's when your vagal nerve is telling you like, hey, something's not okay or something's not right. I've got to get out of here. Or I've got to fight. And it's central to who we are. It's central to how we interact with others, with teammates. You got to know when it goes off, because it goes off on its own. And you have to understand why it goes off. When is it going off? Oh, it's going off right now. Do I need to be in fight or flight? Do I need to do that? Bring yourself back. Say, wait, okay. It's happening, but is there really an external stimulus or something going on within my body that's telling me I need to be in a different place? I need to behave in a different way. So it's called the wanderer. And it's the thing that enables us to effectively interact with the world and with teams. The other thing that's really cool, and this is a Medtronic spinoff that I did to a medtech incubator out in Palo Alto, Boomerang Medical. What we're understanding right now is that if you go in with a stimulation type probe, here, the spleen, in this case, the sacral nerve, and you stimulate, whoa, this is doing stuff we don't understand. And in this case, we developed Medtronic develops the stimulator for incontinence. We look across that data set after we have, like 60,000 patients that have been used for incontinence, and oh my goodness. Some of these also have inflammatory bowel disease and they don't have those symptoms anymore. Somehow, the stimulation of the sacral nerve and then the vagus nerve downstream is actually relieving the symptoms of inflammatory bowel disease, which is an incredibly debilitating disease. So this is now in its final clinical trials, and the impact that it's having on people's lives is amazing. So the vagus nerve is like, and then there's, I'm gonna say 20 to 30 companies right now that are startups that are inventing some sort of a stimulation of the vagus nerve in different ways for rheumatoid arthritis, for this, that, for the other, all kinds of stuff. We don't understand how is this thing working. It's a magical nerve. And boy, that's cool that that's in all of us right now. So that's the cred on this thing. Credibility is we're starting to understand it in some way. And the other thing we know from all of these studies we've done around mindfulness is that it's really important for us that ventral vagal, the sympathetic, and the dorsal vagal. Ventral vagal is the place you want to be in order to really take in the information that you're getting in the class, or if you really want to effectively operate with teamwork. So we're going to be a team right now. We're going to do one little example of this, okay? Usually it's like a week-long course and we go, to the Zen Center and we walk for a week. But we're gonna just take a few minutes here. And what you need to do is don't have no, because usually in these things, you're, oh God, I need to leave now, right? But all we're gonna do is a real simple breathing exercise. That's all we're not gonna even close our eyes. We don't need to do that. But we're gonna do a simple breathing exercise that's been shown to bring us into a ventral vagal state. And then from that ventral vagal state, as a team, we're then gonna ask a really hard research question. No, not yet, don't go there. All right, here we go. All right, so all I want you to do is just drop what you're doing, put your phone down, turn off, oh my God, I'm hungry. I can't believe he said that to me this morning. Whatever it happens to be, just turn it off. And just try to let your mind for a second. And we're gonna just do a real simple breathing exercise. It's gonna take about 2 minutes. Pretend you're being paid $500 to be in a research experiment. Can you go there? Sure. Okay, every time I go to the bathroom now, I see, oh, please be in my experiment. It's pretty fascinating at the beginning of the semester, right? So sign up and do those things. It's really helpful for those around us. Here we go. All right, what we're gonna do is we're gonna breathe in 4, we're gonna hold for 7, and we're gonna breathe out 8. We're gonna do it 3 times. So it'll take us about, minute and a half. Here we go. Okay. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it for 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Breathe out for 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Breathe in, thank God. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Breathe out for 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now just rest in it. Exactly. So that's a really simple exercise. To just put yourself in a place where, oh, I have to cram for this exam. I better get at it. No, first do that. Because it'll come in, it's like lemon. Get the lemon, put the lemon on your desk and do the breathing exercise. You're gonna cram a lot faster than if not, okay? Same thing if you got a team project and you're like, gosh, this is hard. How do we work? You know, teamwork is enabled by being in this state together, because what it does is it builds trust. Partnership, whatever that means. It comes from this place. You have to build trust. So that's a really great exercise that you can use anytime. And if you measure your heart rate variability right now, it'd be going, "Ooh, so good, way to go," that sort of thing. All right, so from this place,
Sorry, what is this called? This breathing technique? Did you mention that? Does it have a name?
it probably does. Do you know the name of that one?
I can't remember it, but it does have a name.
Yeah.
478.
Oh, something like that.
Yeah, that's a good, 478.
Go with that.
And those that really know those kind of mind-body exercises well, you know, there's so many breathing exercises that have been used for thousands of years to get in different states.
Mhm.
And that's just one of them.
Mhm.
But now that we're in that state, let's talk a little bit, and this is, you know, we're gonna go into the second phase of this colloquium, and that is where we get to interact and talk and like dream about things. So here's what I want to do to stimulate our thinking. How can the Gen AI engagement, how can we take it to a different place? I believe, in my experience, is that it's limited in a sentient way. Unless we have a breakthrough discovery that yields the vagal analog form of neuroception within Gen AI technology. So we have Gen AI technology, guess what? I'm gonna just say it has us. I don't think we any longer have it, it has us. It's just there. But this technology doesn't have a neuroception for interacting with the individual or the society that enables the level of wellness that as humans that have been here for a long time, and I get emotional about this, that we deserve. So we need a breakthrough discovery that allows the Gen AI engagement to have more of a feeling space around it. And as a man in my 60s who was brought up in a patriarch society and everything that I learned about being a man and what I grew up in, believe me, it's like everything that I can do not to just be an asshole all the time. It's not my fault. I grew up on a farm in Southern Illinois, Southern Baptist, all the stuff that goes along with that. And it taught me to be who I am in the world. Luckily, at some point, I figured out I was smart and all of a sudden I overachieved. But now, here I am recognizing that, oh my God, my feeling space was shut down. And I know what that feels like as a organism. So how do we create more of a feeling environment around our engagement with Gen AI? How does that organism, if you can go that far with it, start to relate to us in a way as an individual when I'm doing this, and as a society when it's doing thing at a bigger level, whether that's creating elections or, you know, getting whatever, you know, there's stuff going on that we've really kind of lost a hold on. So how does the Gen AI organism start to feel into what it's like to be a human when you're a whole human, not a 60-year-old patriarch grown up dude like me?
So ethical question, why aren't we starting with you instead of with the Gen AI?
Oh. believe me, this is, you know, that thing where the inside's the outside and the helix is going like that. There's not a difference between the two.
Well, the difference,
That's your assumption then, that you are devoid of feeling and.
Oh, I'm well aware of that.
That's your assumption, like.
I have learned, I've created enough awareness around myself and interactions with people that I love and trust, that I know that my feeling ability really got retarded very early on. And it's not that I can't go and revitalize, and I am in the process of that. And, you know, I've been in, you know, therapy for decades, right? Dealing with the fact of how I feel and am in the world and with others. So to me, it's evidence-based. It's not an assumption or a presumption. It's just evidence-based of, oh, this is what's happening for me. And Johnny doesn't help. I'm holding my phone up right now. If I get on the social media platforms, I find myself in a space that I don't like how I feel about myself, about the world, about stuff. But that's just me. I'm not saying it's wrong or bad.
Yeah, my thoughts, not related to your empathetic needs, but for Gen AI particularly, I think we kind of got to give the Tin Man a heart, and it's a hard thing to program, but I think especially the way that Gen AI, operates, but I think that the big thing when we look at the industry as a whole, is changing the incentives for these companies. And instead of, because at the end of the day, they're companies, they're money makers. And I think one step in the right direction is changing the incentive from an engagement platform similar to social media, and taking and replacing jobs or whatever, and moving the needle forward in the terms of the accelerationists or whatever. I think that changing the incentives towards more human-based and more personal-based goals, right? And making these things act or kind of consider the outcomes of what they're saying and what they're recommending and what they're doing, instead of just kind of regurgitating information. And I don't know how the weights are or anything. I have no idea, of course. But I think that changing the incentives and incentivizing these companies to do things for humans and make them human-centered technology rather than what I feel as sometimes they're production-centered technology, or what I'm worried about them becoming is advertising technology. And so
Yeah, right.
yeah, sorry. So I think the incentives is the first place that I'm interested in looking.
Change incentive structure,
Mhm,
breakthrough,
mhm,
disruptive, radical.
mhm.
but also you talk about feelings, but there's feelings and then there's feelings. There's the feelings as far as your concepts, and there's also just literally sensing stuff. So remote sensing, or, you know, right now you read a lot of things, the AI is finding lots of things that exist, but it's not as sensitive to the environment as far as smelling, tasting, touching. These, you know, you can see a little bit, you can get the position of the place in
It doesn't have one of those.
yeah, it doesn't have one of those, yeah. And it seems like as there are more, it's the, how do you learn? Touch the hot stove, you remember that. And there's a sensation it's connected, that a model, it's harder for that maybe to get that kind of thing.
So could a Gen AI, one of the leading Gen AI companies, have a breakthrough where all of a sudden, oh yeah, this is the analog to the ventral vagal. I'm just casting it.
I think it's on a pretty good way to getting there. And I like, when improving technology, I like to look at nature. So Gen AI is supposed to give us advice, and give us a different perspective. And the perfect thing for that is a mentor or a real person, maybe a father, a mother. So if Gen AI is like a parent or like a friend you grow up with, or it collects more information about you, it understands you, and maybe it's a person, robot, so it's more like a human. That will help, I think, to bring it closely or more closely to a real person you interact with.
So hard question, is it gonna help you or is it gonna help it?
It's gonna help us.
Us, okay? It's gonna help us, because all of a sudden there's a feeling space created around all the transaction happening. Am I reading you?
Yeah.
And you went to nature, because in nature, there's a feeling space there that's kind of incomprehensible, but something happens. Something happens. And so you're saying that feel of nature, how can we start to create that between the we?
I'm not sure about the we. but,
The you and the Gen AI organism,
yeah,
you know, you're the mother being that you create from the Gen AI organism.
how to make it more natural.
Yeah,
I think
very
incentives
interesting.
and guiding these decisions or the recommendations of these models towards like actually helping people, rather than sometimes they're just spewing things or misleading them.
Yeah. Does it know when it's
Changing the weights.
hallucinating?
What's that?
Does it know when it's hallucinating?
Yeah,
Right?
Do we?
Not sure.
Yeah, exactly.
This is all a dream.
Cue Grateful Dead. Let's hear from someone in the back.
Well, I was just thinking about how we still don't know a lot about our own feeling states. There's still a lot of research that needs to be done and fed into AI in order for it to work with it. So I wonder about like what we feed it. Maybe like as a contrast to incentives, because I argue my point with that last is like my immediate thought goes to like, well, how are you going to change a whole capitalistic system that enables it to exist in the first place? How are you gonna switch it to a socialist system? Or mindset is gonna be problematic, but how we can maybe influence it more is what we feed it. And I know like what you're saying is also like how we weight it. Can we weight it to pay more attention to certain things? And if it pays more attention to feeling states, maybe that would help, but we still need to give it a lot of that information. We haven't discovered it yet. So there's that piece on us that we need to.
So there's a language that needs to be discovered, developed around feeling states of ourselves in order to even be able to start asking the questions, how do you create a more balanced incentive structure within what we're creating collectively? Fair? You had your hand?
Yeah.
Thank you.
We may be bumbling our way to it in an odd sort of space. I track the investment in where the investors are trying to take AI. And it's interesting, a whole bunch of money very recently has gone into making it more emotionally sensitive. And the reason isn't what you're trying to do, it's because you're much better at selling things when you're emotionally sensitive. So you'll see pretty radical changes in voice interactions with AI. You're starting to see them now.
Yeah.
And then the second observation is, it's interesting what Alan Turing thought about this problem. He said, look, wait, I can't tell what's going on inside your head. You can't tell what's going on inside this computer. Do we have to make them the same? You know, if it's emotionally responsive, is that different than the human emotional?
Can you share with everyone so that they know what the Turing test is? Because that was an important test back in the day.
Yeah, the Turing test was, I'm trying to remember the name, the Imitation Game was what it really was. And it was a thought experiment to say, if you had an observer and two people on the other side of a panel, can't see them.
Blinded.
And you're asking them questions, and text questions, can't hear the tone of the voice either. Could you tell which one was the man and which one was the woman by their answers, and could they fool you? And then he said, imagine that it's not a man or a woman, it's a man or a woman or a computer. Could you tell the difference? And if the computer was able to fool you, it essentially passed the trick.
Kind of going on with a lot of this stuff, I'm pretty terrified of the concept of trying to develop like, I don't know, emotional sensitivity in AI right now. I think that it's something that kind of like as humanity, we're not ready for because we're going about it for the wrong reasons. And kind of like mentioned here, we have a lot of like very like capitalist centric or just very, business centric, or, we're not doing it so that we can have these like AI that are capable of thinking and feeling and being at a higher level so that we can interact with them better. We're doing it so that we can accomplish other goals. And I think that's great and it can provide us with these great opportunities. However, kind of like you mentioned with the Turing test, if we continue to develop these AIs, they're more and more human-like. At what point do we have life that it's not this AI that does the algorithms and can pull this data and then, rapidly extract it? It's this thinking, feeling thing that we're essentially making an intellectual slave to do some kind of thing for us. So I think it's like a very cool concept, and like it's very exciting to think about, but it's also very terrifying that we're kind of not keeping picture what we're really doing.
Like the economic arguments in Paris in the 1780s. You're exactly right. The question in my mind is, given that backdrop, given who we are and what we're doing at this educational, top of the mountain, here we are, Atlas. How do we begin to shape the research question? All I'm doing is trying to imagine a research question for us to start shaping such that it goes toward supports wellness and sustainability for the individual and society. Somehow, if you can build a real incentive structure that you can put in your 401k to do that, you solve the problem.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I appreciate everyone's attention, and it's wonderful to be here, and I'll look forward to engaging with you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You may want to look at Tom Bond's work, where, are you familiar with nonviolent communication?
I'm plugging it in right now.
So let's go to Tom Bond. I don't know if that's if it's a New York, teach around, I think.
BOND.
Center of New York City Nonviolent Communication. There we go. So I think he created an interface that supposedly will emphasize these, but I found it very awkward when I tried it about a year and a half ago.
Okay,
So that might be interesting work.
great.
And I think another thing that might be interesting is like, how do we get humans in the society we have right now to be more full and to have a nervous system that is relaxed, because we have all our material needs. They should theoretically be taken care of, but we have just created systems that do not honor where we are, what we need in terms of our own neurologic development.
That's so well put.
So I think maybe, what you need is not the machine to do it for you, but you need society, culture, your community, which I hear you've been doing over the years.
Yeah, but it's always you know, like, how do you create an incentive structure within that people want to actually do it, that they have time to do it? When they're trying to put food on, I'm totally with you.
Yeah, that's the question I'm trying to answer, and I'm looking to generate a scalable model. And I don't know if it's a matter of starting
Yeah.
in our schools with you and then moving it upward, or if it's a matter of working it in workplaces. So if we can make the link to productivity. So if your nervous system is in a place where we know, like, from research, the grand research, that relationships are a great indicator of success in life and health in life and longevity. So if we can sell companies, we can sell society, you'll be more productive.
Yeah.
Once you are taken care of socially, emotionally.
So it goes back, Wes. How do you create incentive structures that the company starts to embrace in such a way that,
Or the schools, right?
yeah,
Whatever-
that
whatever.
the organization, yeah, that the
Or the
organization,
family, or whatever the size
yeah.
of the group.
It's like